Hey there YouTube, this is the Toy Farm channel. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the sawmill that I'm running here. This is my central machinery sawmill. I bought it used but brand new, unused. I added the first quart of oil to it. It is from Harbor Freight. So I've modified my sawmill to be much different than the one that you're going to pick up in the store. I just wanted to tell you some of the things that I modified that greatly improved the production of the machine. I'm going to start first with the track system. I built my own track system. The total length of it is 20 feet long. Due to the rolling legs of the mill, my maximum cut length can be 17 feet long versus the factory one is a shortcut. I think it's 7 or 8 feet long max. Another modification that I did to it was I increased the RPMs of the engine. I did not break it open and tamper with the governor. Not that the warranty matters because it's too old for that now. But I adjusted my throttle and everything to where if it factory was 3,500 or 3,700 RPMs was the max, it is now probably closer to 4,300 to 4,800 RPMs. It is a huge difference than before. It cuts a lot faster. It discharges the sawdust. It throws it right out the side of the saw instead of dropping a lot of it on the track. Another modification that I did was I made a T-handle for the front protective doors of the blade. It has a plastic knob. When you tighten that knob all the way in, it's got all these different nuts to adjust, and it's just a huge pain in the butt. And I ended up breaking the knob over time, so I made a T-handle, and it is really slick. Another modification is I run Wood-Mizer blades. They're a much more expensive blade than what these come with factory. And I've been dabbling with a few different Wood-Mizer versions for the saw. The one that I'm running here in this video, if I remember correctly, is a hardened tip, and I also have the regular cheaper carbon tipped ones to use as well on crappier lumber or logs that I have. Another modification that I'm doing is the handle that I'm holding to push the mill that my throttle is hooked to is through bolted through my upright height. The slides. My head slides up and down the tubes. So it's through bolts through it, so I can only go up as high as that handle is, but if the handle wasn't there, I could go 8 inches higher. So on a few of the large logs that I put on there recently, I ended up taking that handle off and just held it in my hand, revved up the saw, and walked with it, and just pushed on the head of the saw. So another modification that will be using trailer hitch pins. I'll drill the through holes out bigger to match the larger trailer hitch pins, but then it will become a quick disconnect handle so that, for the specialty logs that are bigger that I need to go higher, I can remove it, but then I can put it back at a comfortable height for regular milling. I've also changed the water feed rate, or the cutting fluid feed rate. I'm sorry, it's not a feed rate. It has a valve that is either on, off, or you can adjust it in between for getting the fluid to land perfectly on the blade. I'm gonna add. I haven't done it yet. I'm gonna add another valve so that one remains exactly where I want it to be, so I don't shut it off and then have to pull the saw back to make my other board, stoop down, and readjust it until it's right back where I wanted it, and then go again. So a lot of times you have to fix things in between, and if you just left it on, it's going to drain that whole entire reservoir all over the ground. So a second valve, I can leave one where I want it, and I can shut off and turn on the second one. That will make a huge difference. The biggest improvement that I made yesterday was I built um, a leveling jack on the far end of the log, opposite of where where I'm running the mill. So I used my 3/8 impact gun, and I welded a socket on the end of a car jack, and I welded the car jack to an angle iron to the side of one of the bunks. And so when you use your 3/8 impact, you just zip it up and you put your shim under it. Now, for those that don't know what I'm talking about when I say shims, is for the first cut of the log that I made, I needed to measure both ends of the log. And in the case that one is 20 inches and let's say the other one is 18, that means that you need to shim up the smaller end of the log half of that difference, so 1 inch shim. So before, I was having to put the log on with a skid steer and then go drive over and re-pick up one end, climb out of the cab, put my shim in, climb back in, and it was this whole extra bunch of steps. So now I just use my impact gun, I pull my measurements, and I zip it up, I put my shim in, I lower it down. So I'm going to have a milk crate full of all different size shims labeled so I can find them easily. And that made such a big difference today. And you only need it for your first pass or your first cut, because when you use your PV or your piece of equipment and you roll the log over, you don't want it shim now for your second cut, because the saws, you already zeroed it, so that saw is going to take that off, and you're going to have a perfectly matched board, top and bottom. You can start planking it then. The other thing I did here before the video ends is when I first got it, the factory welds were not straight at the top, so when you would crank it up and down, it was crooked, causing the head to be out of level. So if I recall, it was actually almost 5/8 of an inch difference on each end of the saw head in comparison to the track below it. So I cut all the welds, straightened everything out, and re-welded it, and now it cuts nice and true. So this is my first video that I've edited. I think I said before, I wasn't able to use my GoPro video with the voices, the audio, because I had a protective case on it and it was muffling all the audio. So I'm adding this clip afterwards, and hopefully it matches up somewhat. But this will be my first actually edited video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm gonna dig in with a lot more videos and a lot more information and show you a lot more that I've done with it. So these were some really good boards I got out of this log. They were 15.5 inches wide, and they were 16.5 feet long. So that's all I got for you today. I hope everyone has a good one, and a happy Thanksgiving.